and welcome to MASH Matters. This is not a normal episode that we would typically bring you. This is a special episode because Jeff and I just thought it would be a good idea to hop on and talk about our friend Loretta Swit. Jeff, this is all still very new and raw to us because we just got the news a few hours ago as we're recording this. And I'm so sorry to you and the MASH family for your loss.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry for the MASH family, and I'm sorry for the MASH family that we're all talking to as well for this loss. Pardon me. And my voice is kind of weird today. You'll pardon me. I've been talking to a lot of people on the phone.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Since I found out the news. So forgive my voice if it's raspy and something like that.
And look, folks, we're not going to be doing really any editing on this episode. This is just going to be very raw and real. Just us talking about this, how we feel about it and feel about her and paying tribute to her. And we just wanted to be able to express these thoughts the way we wanted to, and the best way we can do it is through this podcast. And so we wanted to bring this to you as soon as we could, and that's why we're here today. So Jeff, Loretta Swit, she was a hell of a gal, wasn't she?
She was. She was. She was a hell of a gal. She was a very unique, strong and talented and wonderful and beautiful and funny and organic and real, as real and all those words I just said. She was that and more, and she was that way all the time. She was sincere, grounded, able. All of the positive things that you saw in Margaret Houlihan, that's who Loretta Swit was. And she took all of those wonderful qualities that she had as a human being and was able to instill them in that character of Margaret Houlihan. Initially, she was, not necessarily using all of those characteristics because the scripts were written a little differently then, but in terms of the way the show grew and the arc of the show, I think the way her character grew, and she fought for that. I know personally that she fought for those changes in a character so that woman could grow and grow into the character that you finally saw in the remaining years of MASH.
Yeah.
And that it was not an idea of the writers. That was not an idea of the producers. That was her. And that was her idea. And those are the kinds of things that she stood for and fought for. And that's what really elevated her character and quite frankly helped elevate the quality of the television show MASH itself.
Yeah. Yeah. When it went from Hot Lips to being Margaret, that was that transition that you're referring to. When she became more grounded, she became more real. She wasn't a one-note character. She wasn't a villain or, a protagonist. She became a real person with real feelings and, real problems and real fears. And we saw her play that out masterfully on the show for all 11 seasons. And
I think to your point there, I think we watched her navigate those problems and her fears, and watching her navigate those things, I think was probably an inspirational moment in the show, because we could watch this real human being navigate something that we could all identify with, whether it was a fear or was a problem or a conflict. We were watching a strong person navigate how to do that and what to do and how to make it come out on the other side that was perhaps positive for them and positive for anybody else. So watching her do that, I think, is what was really the great pathway for us as viewers to watch. Mm-hmm. And seeing her as a person do that, and knowing her like I knew her, those were the qualities that she used to navigate those issues that she had on the show too. So,
yeah, you've spoken several times on the podcast about just sitting in awe and watching her and Larry Linville work together.
I did. Yes, I did. I was sitting and watched them, and they were, on the set, though the stage is quite big, but those little places on the, oh gosh, excuse me, folks. I don't know.
I bet that's been happening a lot today.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah.
It's been happening quite a bit. Those little tents, especially Margaret Houlihan's tent, was a very, very cramped, small place. Mm-hmm. And watching her and Larry Linville be in that little teeny tiny place and do the kinds of physical things that they did, the falling down and the arguing and the shoving around and the hugging and the kissing and the pushing and the shoving and the turning and all that stuff that they did physically, watching them do that was really like watching a ballet.
Yeah, they were choreography. Sure, it's a dance.
Exactly. And not only were they physically doing something, but they had to keep the dialogue going and the intent of the characters and the theme of the characters and everything that they were as human beings. They had to keep that going while they were doing that little dance. And you rehearse it for a month and maybe that's going to happen. They didn't have a month to rehearse it. Maybe in the morning they kind of went through and worked it out a little bit, which they did. But still, that was a lot of choreography, very minute, sensitive stuff that they had to do, that they had to work off of each other constantly and continually. I sat there in amazement. I really was. It was an inspiration for me to watch them. Every time I ran over, if I was there, I'd run over and watch them because it was just wonderful.
She was incredible on screen. In fact, she was nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Performance by a Supporting Actress every year from 1974 to 1983. I mean, you just think about that. Pretty much the entire run of the show, she was nominated every year. She won it twice. She won it in 1980 and again in 1982. She should have won it more than that. But just to be nominated to have a streak like that is a true testament to not only the character and the show, but also her and her abilities as an actress.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And you're talking about awards. She was, nominated 6 Golden Globe nomination. Mm-hmm. I mean, this was a very talented, experienced woman in that situation, in that show.
Yeah. And not just on the show, but on stage as well. She was on Broadway. I saw her in a touring production of Shirley Valentine that came here locally. She spent a lot of time on stage too. And so it wasn't just on the screen, although that's where we saw her the most on, of course, MASH, but she would be on Mannix and she would show up on all, The Love Boat and all these shows, that we loved watching. But at the end of the day, I mean, she was Major Houlihan, I mean, it's that role is just, and I didn't know her obviously as well as you did, but I did get to know her through this podcast over the years. And that fire that you saw on screen, that was her. I mean, she was a force of nature. You did not stand in her way. She when she set her mind to something, she got it done. And I loved her for that. And I love that she spoke her mind, no matter what it was, whether it was, about her fierce love and advocacy for animals, or, rights of people. And I mean, she was not one to be quiet and just let her celebrity be celebrity. She used her place in pop culture to make a difference, and we're all better for it.
We are all better for it, and I'm grateful for the time that I spent on that set. with her and watching her and learning from her. And, you could watch somebody with tremendous strength and belief in themselves and belief in what's right. And that's what she fought for all the time, is what was right. And when she decided something was right, like you said, you got to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Or you got to put on armor because you're going to have a fight. And you just don't want to do that.
No, because spoiler alert, she'll win.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, to go up to some, and once you're in a TV series, there's an executive producer, and the executive producer is the boss. What the executive producer says goes. Now, if you have a wonderful executive producer and they're very open to and vulnerable to suggestions and things, great. But most executive producers aren't. That's why they're the executive producers. They have to make some sometimes very difficult, tough decisions one way or the other in terms of how they want to guide that show, and they want that show to move. That's a big boat out in the ocean, and they're the ones that are telling you, go this way, go that way. So for her, as the only female cast member, really, they're all the nurses and everything, but she was the only permanent female cast member, to go against all of the male executives and say, this is where I want this character to go. This is where this woman should be. This is what should happen. This is how I want it to be. This is how I want Hulan to look like. This is where I want this woman to go. To do that against very powerful executives and big time, networks and all that kind of stuff. That's tough stuff.
Especially when you're the only woman on the main cast of the show. It's not like you can bind together with other actresses and go in there and form an alliance. She was flying solo. She was a one woman force of nature.
She was a one woman show.
Yeah, she really was. She really was.
And what was wonderful is that she was able to convince them. So she didn't lose. She won by the sheer force of her ability to show them why what she was saying was correct and why it would make the script better, the character better, the show better, and all the other characters around her better. And that was pretty amazing. I mean, boy.
It's so strange. Here again, sitting here in the hours after the news broke, it's so strange to refer to her in past tense, because she has been such a part of our lives, not only yours as a actor and a friend, but all of our lives through the show. She's just been there for us for over 50 years, day in and day out, and it's so hard to think of her as not being here anymore and that we can't talk to her anymore. We had hoped, and there had been talk about getting her back on the podcast again, and we had hoped to be able to do that, and was hoping to be able to see her again at one of the many conventions and, appearances that you guys have made together. And it's sad to think that we can't do that anymore, but we still have the show and we still have her performances to enjoy for many, many years, for generations to come. We'll still be able to enjoy and experience the excellence, the wonder that was Loretta Swit.
Absolutely. And it's funny, I've been watching the show a lot lately, which is ironic, so to speak, but I've been watching the show a lot, and it's the biggest laughs I get are from her. And I'm not laughing at her, I'm laughing with the character, and I'm laughing at the brilliant performances that she gives and what she does with that character. And I've just literally over the past couple of weeks thought, what a remarkable gift that she's given me and everybody and the millions of people who watch that gift to everybody for all of those laughs and all of the enjoyment and all of the inspiration. I mean, she's inspired people to become nurses and do various things and be strong women and all that kind of stuff and be strong men.
Yes.
And that's really such a special quality. And it's going to be missed. It's a hard day. I have to admit, this is a hard day. It's a hard day. And I spoke with Jamie, and it's a hard day for him, certainly. And his wife and Jamie were very close to Loretta. And so it's a tough one. Tough one out there. It's tough.
It is. It is tough. What's nice, we could have come on here and played clips and all that, but we would just welcome you not only to go back and revisit the show, obviously, but she made, I think it's a record of 4 appearances that she's made on our podcast. And we'll put
she asked for money for each of those too, didn't she?
I tell you,
we had to fight like sons of guns.
And we ended up paying her too, I think, ultimately, because she's Loretta. We'll put links to those episodes in the show notes for this, and also I encourage you, if you have not yet watched it, there was that documentary, and she came on here on the podcast along with Arnold Shapiro and Carol Fleischer to talk about this documentary called Korean War: The Untold Story, and we were given the honor of being able to post that documentary on our YouTube channel. So we'll put a link to that as well. But Loretta actually went to Korea and was there, and was at the DMZ and was talking to people who were serving there in right on the border of North Korea. While also highlighting the stories of these brave soldiers who battled, who were in the battle in Korea. So it's really a fascinating glimpse into this war, and she's a big part of that. So we'll put a link to that as well.
And I had heard that that North Korea was quite nervous that she was there. Actually. They were.
They should have been.
They didn't know what to do. Wait a minute, Loretta Swit's coming. What do we do? So, but she told a story once about the pilot, about the closeness of the people on the show, and how that happened. And it was kind of a joke, but probably not necessarily really a joke. It had some truth to it. But on the pilot, one of the first days they were out there, they were out at the Fox Ranch up in the mountains where they shot the exteriors. And it was freezing. Of course, I've said this a number of times about, at 6:30 in the morning, it was freezing. At 12 o'clock in the afternoon, it was so hot you couldn't see straight. So they were out there, and it was freezing in the morning. I mean, just freezing. And so they had to go in and huddle with each other, put on these jackets and huddle around each other because they were so cold. And the joke was that how can you huddle with a group like that and not become really close?
Right.
And that's what led to that initial closeness from all of those people, and that kind of cemented the bond between them that we all saw for 11 years, and we all are part. It's boy.
Yeah.
I and when we got when I was doing the and probably we'll do some more, but when Loretta and I and Jamie were doing and have done all of the autograph shows, we all became very close, even closer than we were. Yeah. And it was kind of a trio that we enjoyed very much being together. And I gained even a bigger respect for her during that time than I had before. Yeah. We became very close friends. So I'm grateful to those shows for helping do that, and for her for being my friend and sharing herself with me. She's a special person, very, very special, and will be greatly, greatly missed.
We I'll put a link also in the show notes for this episode. In her obituary that's already been shared online, it says donations can be made to the actors and others for animals, and also the Sweetheart Animal Alliance. So we will put links to those in the show notes if you would like to make a donation in her memory. We've already on social media, you see the outpouring of love, people sharing their memories of Loretta. And we just encourage you to do that as well. And, let people know how great she was. If they have not watched MASH, this is a great time to introduce MASH to your friends and family as a tribute to Major Houlihan.
Yeah. One last thing. And again, forgive me, everybody, for my voice, because I've been talking to a lot of people
No, you're fine.
on the phone. And so it's a little raspy, but I always, when we were at the autograph shows, they were long. They were, you'd be there for 6 to 8 hours and talking to a lot of people. But from the morning to the very last person that she would talk to, there would never be a hint of frustration or fatigue or anything. She was always right there with every person that walked up to her to talk about, even if they weren't doing an autograph, just to say hi and, I love you. And she was right there with them and never turned her back or was, rude to anybody or anything. So, and that's, that you do that for 3 days, you're kind of tired, and then afterwards we would go to dinner and she'd still be talking and having a good time. And have a martini or two, maybe. But, what the heck? She's a grown-up.
She deserved it. She earned it.
She did.
Yeah.
She really did.
Folks. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just, thank you to everybody for being listeners to this podcast, because she is and still will be so much a part of it, because she's so much a part of MASH. Yeah. And that's what MASH Matters is all about. And, so we'll miss you, Loretta.
We will. We will be back in 2 weeks with a new episode. Actually, we recorded this episode already and had it ready to go, but then we just felt like we needed to talk about somebody special instead. So thank you for your understanding on that end. And so we'll be back with a new episode, a very special episode coming up in 2 weeks. And until then, Loretta, we love you and we miss you.